All right, so I've been seeing some data that, made me start thinking I need to do a little video like this for my folks out there that are preparing to buy. Okay, so if you're checking out this series, I know that that's where your mind is. You're like, okay, I want to prepare to buy. I want to get in a position where I'm going to be able to get the house that I want when it comes on the market. So here's the deal. I've been looking at this data and it's just, it really just confirms what some of my current buyers have been experiencing, okay? So certainly right now at this time, we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that has just really changed the environment. Like, it's just shifted. I mean, I can't really describe it any other way, okay? Like, a lot of people, I think, thought, okay, this pandemic is happening, and so this is a great time to get out there and buy a house. Well, look, I mean, if you have to buy a house, it's, any time is a good time. But if you're trying to get out there and get like the cheapest price or get a deal, it's not happening right now. Okay, so looking at this first graph, I want to orient you. You have the number of listings that's going up on the left, and down below you have the number of months. And so what you can see here is an entire calendar year. And this data is for only the city of Everett, and it does include like single family houses, condos, and mobile homes. All right. And what you can see here is the red bars represent the number of active listings in that month. And the green line going across the top there represents the number of sales in that month. And so this right here is the problem that buyers are facing. You can see that in February and March and leading into April, you can see that this green line is, at least in February and March, is above the red line. That means that more homes were sold in those months than active listings. So that means that inventory stopped coming on the market, and the inventory that was already there outsold what came on next. Okay, so that means that there's just such low inventory, and this is what is causing what we're seeing in the market now: multiple offers and homes going above asking price. Okay, so I want to go on to the next graph, and the next graph is a very specific demographic. So this is the person that I encounter most commonly, okay? And it's not that surprising, because this is just kind of like your entry-level buyer. They're going to be kind of like the person that's sort of like hitting that medium price point, and they're looking for a house. So in this graph, what we're looking at, again, we have listings over to the left and then the months at the bottom. What we're looking at is only single family houses in the city of Everett that are less than $450,000, okay? And what you can see is that the number of sold homes is way above the number of active listings. I mean, like January, February, March, okay? The number of active listings is less than half the number of ones that sold, which means all the inventory that had collected up to that point sold. It's gone. Okay. And you can even see in April remnants of that, where, basically it's break even, right? You've got about 40 active listings and like 38 sold in that price point. I mean, those houses are gone. And so here's what I want it to do for people that are like, okay, I want to buy and they need to buy in this environment. What I wanted to do is put together a video that's just about the things that you can do to get an edge. Okay. And I mean, here's the thing. There's things on this list that you're going to be able to do something about. And there are things on this list that, maybe you're not going to be able to do much about. Okay. It just sort of depends on what kind of lead time you have and how much preparation you can put forward here. Okay. So let's get started with buyer's edge. Okay. So I'm going to go through a list. I've got 10 things to hit on for you that I think are going to help you when you're making your offers get that special edge, okay? And so here's the thing with this list. Really, some of the things, I've ranked them, okay? But some of them are going to be more important. Like, this is the thing about making offers. Like, each deal is its own unique snowflake. So sometimes they'll be weighted heavier or, or less. They might not matter as much in that particular deal, okay, whatever property you're offering on, okay? But this is sort of to give you a general idea of the things that are important and are going to make your offer strong, okay? So the first thing, so this is number 10, is the love letter, okay? You're probably familiar with these. This is the letter that you write to the seller and you just tell them, man, this is how much I love this house. This is about me. This is about, my partner. This is about my family. This is about my dogs, whatever, okay? So whatever you would include in that letter can definitely sway deals. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen, it depends on the seller. This is why I go back to this thing. Everything is a unique snowflake. Like some sellers really care about who's going to get their house. Okay. And it may, make or break the deal for you. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's a good one to include. And it's number 10 out of a list of 10, because I think there are other things that are more important. And I think without those other elements, the love letter kind of falls flat. Like a love letter, but then like you offer them like $50,000 below asking is probably not going to work out really well for you in this environment, okay? Because it's just such a strong seller's market. All right, number 9, offering higher earnest money, okay? So earnest money is basically what you put down to say, hey, I'm serious. I'm going to put a good faith effort to completing this transaction. And in this market right now, it's like 1% to 3%. So, I mean, I ranked it number 9 and kind of on the lower end, because if you can do like 1% to 2%, you're in pretty good shape, okay? I mean, not many transactions happen these days with like $200 earnest money, okay? Like that's just not gonna work out. So you have to have sort of like realistic idea of what earnest money is gonna be. And if you can hit that kind of like 1% to 2% mark, you're in pretty good shape. All right, number 8, having the ability to close quickly. Now, look, closing quickly can be important, okay? Right now with the pandemic, I mean, some lenders can do it. Like usually that's going to be the thing that holds you up. So if you're getting a mortgage, which, like 98% of people are, you are probably going to be looking at like a 30-day close. Some lenders though can do like 21 days. And for some sellers, that's important. Some sellers want more time, some want less. So, flexibility in closing is awesome. Okay, flexibility in closing. All right, number 7. All right, number 7, filling the gap if there is an appraisal shortage, okay? So you put it in an offer, the bank appraises it, and the appraiser comes back and says, hey, this is worth $10,000 less than what you guys agreed on. If you can submit an offer upfront and say, hey, if there's any appraisal shortfall, we're gonna cover it, then you're in pretty good shape. I think that that's going to definitely elevate you above other people, because look, it's not that common. Like people do it, sellers ask for it, but here's what we're trying to do here is distinguish you, right? We're trying to take your offer and make it distinctive. Like we want to differentiate. We want to be like, okay, boom, this thing puts me above everybody else. Okay, this thing puts me above everybody else, or this makes me different. So you want to really stick out. Okay. Number 6 is going to be the experience and reputation of your agent. Okay, so does your agent know the other agents in the marketplace? Have they, created good relationships with them? All right. It's just important. You want your agent to be like somebody that like the other agent's like, oh yeah, I've done a deal with you. We're going to get this done. Right. Like you want that agent to be able to express that confidence to their client. Like, oh man, I've worked with Ashley. We've done several deals. When things went sideways, boom, she came in there and we handled it. Okay. Like that's what you want. Number 5, having a responsive agent and an agent that is paying attention to the market. Inventory, especially in below 450,000 in Everett right now, is moving extremely fast. Like houses are selling in 12 hours. Okay. They are selling in 12 hours. All right. That person needs to be like seeing it come on the market or getting your text and getting you into that property so that you can even write an offer. Like that's why I ranked it number 5. It's kind of in the middle there, but look, if you don't get into the house and get the tour and decide that you want to buy the house, then what's the point in any of this, right? What's the point? Okay. Number 4, closing cost requests. Okay. Man, closing cost requests will kill you. Okay. I mean, I have clients, I know, they're like, hey, I'm a first time home buyer. Sometimes, you just don't have a lot of cash and you want to have the seller pay your closing costs. It is going to kill your deal, okay? Especially when you have, here's the thing. Some people will put these in there and some people will not, all right? And if you just must have your closing costs covered, then you have to figure out a way to somehow roll them in to your offer, okay? Which means that if you're rolling your closing costs in, you're going to need to come above probably asking price, at least the amount that you're asking for, and then some, okay? And, you know, I would just keep that to a minimum as much as you can. I mean, I know that, you know, some folks, you can't get around it. And I think then if that's your reality, then you just need to know that you're going to be writing a lot of offers. You're going to be writing a lot of offers until you find one or find a house that will work and that it will work with that seller, okay? Number 3, the inspection, okay? So how are you handling that? I would strongly recommend that you're getting in there and doing a pre-inspection. Or if the seller has done an inspection, you take a look at that inspection and figure out if you can be okay with what's in there, okay? Figure out if you can be okay with what's in there, because most sellers, they don't want to have to deal with a bunch of repairs. I mean, that's it, right? Like if you're going to get 6 offers or you're going to get 10 offers, okay? I mean, you're going to go with the one that impacts your bottom line the most. And you don't want to have the mystery, right? Like this is it, uncertainty. You don't want to have the mystery of, oh, what are they going to find in inspection? Like, what if they find out that we need to put a new roof on, or they ask for a roof, or they ask for half of a new roof? Like they don't want to deal with it. And, you know, I think that they're going to go to the person that can do a lot of these things, right? Like either waive the inspection or do a pre-inspection, and there's not going to be much there that they're going to have to deal with that impacts their bottom line. Or they're going to go with somebody who's like, you know, I suppose if they had a cash offer, then maybe they would go with the cash offer, right? And let them inspect, okay? So, number 2, purchase price, all right? Bottom line, man, like sellers, look, I just went down all the way down. We got down to on a list of the top 10 things, okay? And we're going to most important. Bottom line, dude, sellers, unfortunately, you know, as important as a love letter can be, especially if you have a seller that's like, okay, it matters to me who gets this house next. I would say that love letter plus the amount of money you're going to pay them. Okay. That love letter plus the amount of money you're going to pay them. Like everybody comes down to what's the money going to be. They want to know how much money they're going to make. They want to know what their net's going to be. And, you know, as much as I'd like to think that, you know, people are like, oh, this lovely couple is going to take my house and they have a dog and a cat just like me and I relate to them. And people are like, but that doesn't mean that they're going to like take 10 grand less. I mean, they'll appreciate your letter, but you know, if there's another person that's willing to pay $25,000 more than you, I mean, I think they're probably going to take the more money. Okay. That's just what it is. All right. I would say probably 99% of the time they're going to take the more money. Okay. So now that we kind of have that out of the way, and, you know, right now, low ball offer is not working. I mean, you're just going to have to come over list price right now at this point. All right. Number one, the terms of your financing. So here, there's kind of a lot to unpack. Terms of financing means, are you getting a mortgage? Are you paying cash? You know, what does that look like? What's your down payment? How much are you putting down if you're doing financing? And what type of mortgage are you getting, right? So there's conventional, there's FHA, there's a whole bunch of them, right? There's a VA loan, there's a USDA loan, right? So we've got all these different options. There's rehab loans, okay? And all of those financing terms, you know, everything but cash it adds a little wrinkle, right? Like, you know, if you were to submit the perfect offer would be like, you know, cash, you know, at least their asking price, no inspection issues, you know, like think about like the perfect offer. All right. If you're doing a mortgage, which most people do, okay, it puts a wrinkle in there. And then if depending on the type of mortgage, it could wrinkle it more. All right. So here's the thing that you have to understand. Sellers want really, really qualified buyers. Okay. Really, really qualified buyers. And so in terms of financing, usually that's going to be your conventional buyer with 20% down or more. Okay. Your conventional buyer with 20% down or more. Okay. And that's just it. Like, that's sort of like what the standard is as far as mortgage. Okay. And then from there, it just drops down. If you're doing less down, like let's say you're doing a VA loan and you're doing 0% down, that's just going to put you underneath those people. Like, all things being equal, let's say you're at the same purchase price. You've got the same, you waived your inspection or you pre-inspected. You don't have any closing costs. You're paying your own closing costs. You know, you got to the table, you know, all the things being equal. If a buyer is looking at 20% conventional, 0% down VA, they're going to probably pick the conventional every day. And you know, I know that that's maybe surprising to hear, but that it happens all the time. Like, I have definitely had clients that are really they've got great credit. Okay. They're really qualified, but they're doing a VA loan and they're putting down $0. And I can tell you right now, it doesn't work out well. Like, usually in a multiple offer situation, they get beat. Okay. So yes, all of that matters. It matters. Okay. And certainly cash. Like, here's the thing about the reason that this one ends up being number one is because you could have a cash offer that is maybe not the highest offer, but because it's cash and the seller knows there's not going to be any issues with financing, they might go with that offer. They might say, yeah, it's $5,000 less, but they're going to close in 14 days and we're done. You know, they don't want to wait around for what if something happens in the appraisal and they got to reduce it 5,000 anyway, right? Like, that's the conversation that happens. They talk and they're like, oh, okay, well, you know, here's the thing. If you go with the person that's doing financing, we have to wait, you know, like, because the bank is like a third party, right? Like, they're another buyer and they're going to look at that. They're going to look at the house, they're going to scrutinize it, and stuff can happen. You know, this is the thing, like, you know, I'm not being really specific here, but things can happen, right? You could have a problem with the appraisal. They could say, the bank sometimes can look at the house and be like, hey, this is unsafe. This is unsafe. We don't like the way this rug looks. I don't know, you know, come up with all kinds of stuff. We don't like the way this deck railing is. And we want the seller to fix it before we'll close this loan. You know, with cash, you don't have to worry about that. So that's how come being pre-approved in the terms of your financing ended up being number one. So I hope this video is helpful. You know, I think what I'm hoping is the takeaway here is that you want to try to control as much as you can control. You know, sometimes, you know, for example, your financing, you don't have much control over that. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. Like, if right now your credit isn't stellar and you can only do an FHA loan and you've only saved 5%, then that's just what it is, right? I mean, you'll just have to work with that. Okay. It doesn't mean that you won't get a house. It just means that you're going to probably have to look at more houses because there are other people that are more qualified than you or that are willing to pay more than you. So if you can look at this list and you can say, hey, you know what, my terms of my financing doesn't look that great, but you know what, I can offer more money. I can do a pre-inspection. I do have money saved to cover my closing costs. Well, then make the pieces of your offer strong that you can make strong. You know, make the pieces of your offer strong that you can make strong. And hopefully when they come back and they look at the terms of your financing, they're like, oh, okay. You know, they're doing a 5% loan, but look, they're higher purchase price. They're not asking for an inspection like the other person because they've already done it. And look, they're covering their closing costs. And, you know, maybe that'll win you the house. All right. And this is why having that experienced agent and that responsive agent is important, because you want to be able to look at the environment. Like, you got to know, right? Like, each transaction is different. Like, they each need something different. Okay. So that's the video. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of this series. Like, it's building. Okay. And, I'll see you again on the next one, YouTube.